Joining me, as I say, for all the chat today is Philip Ingram, MBE, former senior military intelligence officer. Morning once again.
Good morning.
You. Asking audience to get in touch on whatever. Let's face it, you get to decide what you want to get in touch on, but I'm particularly interested in the Trump peace plan for Ukraine, but also where we are in terms of migrants claiming benefits. I mean, it's bad enough, the illegal migrants who we got here, we can't deport, we're paying for them, and now we're paying for 1.3 million people who've come here from abroad who are claiming benefits. I mean, even if they're here legally, I just don't understand the idea that I would go to another country and just claim benefits there. And we're not talking about people who've, worked here for 30 years or something, most of them. Oh, who are we kidding? If migration is supposed to be such a big benefit to us, these people would be top-rate taxpayers, not needing help with their house, their rent, and paying, being paid universal credit. It's just extraordinary. So we're going to be talking about all of that, but I want to hear your thoughts. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Text us on 08722. Get in touch on X at talkTV. Calls are charged at the national rate. Text costs £1. Standard network rate message. Philip, let's go back to Putin though, and this 28-point peace plan. The 20-point peace plan for Gaza, that was pretty good stuff.
Yep.
I mean, Hamas have rejected it, but they've had released all the live hostages, almost all of the dead hostages from Israel. They're not going to disarm. Who are we kidding? Now it's up to Arab countries. Oh, well, off you go. You go in and deal with them rather than leaving the IDF to do your dirty work for you. But Donald Trump was on point when it came to Israel. Yep. Ukraine, he has a blind spot with Vladimir Putin that is just extraordinary. Not only is he saying that Vladimir Putin, according to this plan, could keep all the territories already annexed, stolen, invaded and stolen, murdered the men, raped the women, abducted the children. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian children abducted abroad to Russia. Devastated the landscape. He's saying you can have more territory than that, territory which is really crucial for protecting the rest of the country. Basically saying, off you go, Putin, have a bit of a break, rearm yourself, and then you can go and take the rest of Ukraine. That's basically what he's saying.
Well, and it's including the Ukrainian military being cut and them not being given certain weapons and all the rest of it. This is back to the 2022 Istanbul plan that was proposed that Ukraine rejected. Russia was in a stronger position then. But I find it very interesting that Keith Kellogg, who is Donald Trump's representative to Ukraine,
very pro-Ukraine,
has decided to leave his post in January.
He's obviously just horrified by this.
He clearly is horrified. And Steve Witkoff, who's been negotiating it, just hasn't got a clue. He's been played every time he's gone to Moscow.
He genuinely didn't even know where Crimea was. He thought it was in the Donbass region as opposed to,
Yeah, exactly. And this is why the plan's not going to fly. It's all happening behind closed doors, but at the end of the day, it's President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people that will have the final say.
To actually do this, there would have to be a democratic vote by the Ukrainian people. You're not really going to fight for 3.5 years, are you? So many men have been lost and wounded. The devastating bombing of civilian targets. Oh, we don't get marches about that every other Saturday, do we? Ukrainian men, women and children who are innocent doesn't seem to matter. But the devastation of that country, you're not going to go, oh yeah, fair enough. Not only can you keep what you've already got, not only do we're going to hand over hundreds of thousands of other Ukrainian men, women and children to Russian forces that they haven't even been able to win by force.
Yeah, and people will say any price is worth stopping the killing. It's not stopping the killing. It's not going to stop the killing. It's going to delay it so that those people who are sitting there shouting about it, their kids are the ones that are going to suffer in the future.
Yeah, so he took Crimea in 2014.
2014.
And then he came back and then no one did anything. There was a bit of waggy fingery and then no one did anything, and then he came back in 2022. Lots of people were saying, oh, Kyiv would fall. Well, it didn't. I mean, let's face it, we were covering that every minute of every hour of every day. And it was an extraordinary fight back by some incredibly brave people, an amazing leader in Zelensky. And again, I've not drunk the Kool-Aid on this. I don't think Ukraine's perfect. I don't think Zelensky is perfect. It's a democratic national state for all its failings. And yes, it's very corrupt. All former Soviet states are corrupt. You don't function. If you lived in one of those former Soviet states, you would be corrupt. Otherwise, your family wouldn't eat. That's how life works in those countries.
Like getting free suits and freebies to
no
concerts.
Corruption
and
here.
No,
Exactly.
No corruption in the
Or
Western
America. Oh, let's
exactly.
Qatar buy me a new plane. I mean, come on. No, but this is the thing. I mean, it's just, they're doing what they can. we need to stand foursquare behind them.
Yeah,
Donald Trump
100%.
says it's not his problem, it's not his war. Fine, don't. As long as you're still willing to, as you say you would be, to make the weapons to sell to the Europeans so we can pass them on. And people who think that we shouldn't be spending our resources and our diplomatic efforts and our money on this, sorry, take all the money out of all the Russian money out of the banks. There's tens and tens of hundreds of billions. Just free that up and we pay for all the arms that way. Sorry.
There's two things behind this. One, Putin knows that he cannot continue with the Ukrainian attacks on his infrastructure and the West affecting his economy. And he knows he's not going to win in the front line. And two, Donald Trump is looking at the MAGA for midterms, and what he wants to do is turn around and say, look, I've tried, the Ukrainians have, and this is
a terrible lie that's been perpetrated by, frankly, bad people on the internet. This whole idea that we shouldn't, the Ukraine's not a war, we need to fight, and
100% it is.
It is, well, absolutely. Yeah. But again, this is and on the right, there's again people saying, oh, we want peace. No, well, that's like saying we wouldn't have taken Hitler on in 1930. We could have had peace. Oh, you can have peace if you don't fight your bully or your enemy. You can have peace as long as you roll over and say, oh, by all means, abduct my child, rape my wife and torture me. You can have peace anytime you want.
That doesn't bring you peace, because that bully moves on to someone else and does it to someone else.
And who's he going to go for next? Well, let's talk about that ship in our water. Well, dipping in and out of our waters.
Yeah, the Antar-Russian spy ship. It's been mapping our undersea cables and our undersea pipelines and power cables.
And why are they doing that, Philip, as a former senior military intelligence officer?
Because they want to know how to damage it if they need to.
You don't need to know otherwise, do you?
No, exactly.
And the thing is, we're an island nation, so those cables, what are they used for?
Well, we've got electricity cables connecting islands together. We've got,
and we need those because we've got a mad electricity.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got electricity coming from Norway into Scotland for us. We've got gas cables. We've got all of the interconnectivity on our internet pipes go through cables. And of course, this is something that the UK has got real experience of, because the first hostile act of the First World War was the British cutting 4 of the 5 cables across the channel. The 5th cable went through the UK and we tapped into it. Oh, the Russians are tapping into it with the Antar. We tapped into it, and that's what allowed us to intercept the Zimmerman telegram that brought the Americans into the First World War. So we know all about cables and their military use. The Russians are sitting looking at what they can do.
And we're told John Healey, the Defence Secretary, was very much talking tough, and he had his Union flags behind him in Downing Street when he gave that press conference 10 o'clock yesterday morning. We've got another statement in the Commons today. We talk about Russia does remain a threat, and we're going to take firm action. What should that action be, given, and we were discussing in the last hour, that one of their actions was just not going in and out of our waters, but and mapping our cabling and being very obvious about it, but also shining those lasers into the pilots' eyes of the RAF pilots. I mean, that is, you said, these aren't toys. This is a hostile act.
Yeah, it's a laser is a directed energy weapon. It can damage or cause permanent damage to the pilots if it hits them in the eyes, and it depends on the type of laser that's fired. But we should ease the rules of engagement, which is the authority for our military pilots to engage with weapons. Warn the Antar once. If it does it again, then sink it.
That's simple.
Yeah, that's simple.
Would that lead to war, or would that be would that be the sort of thing that would actually prevent things escalating?
Yeah,
because
very
the
clear
message would be loud and clear.
There'd
be
stiff letters.
There'd be stiff letters and expulsions of some diplomats, but the message would be clear: don't mess with us.
Correct.
We are serious.
Yeah,
Except Russia knows we're not serious. They are battle hardened. They are ruthless. We are not serious. We don't, as we know from that report from the Defence Select Committee this week, we don't have the military. We are not able to defend ourselves or our allies.
Well, we've got military.
Should we start something we can't finish?
We've got a military that's got a good punch in it. But it's nowhere near where it needs to be for where the threat landscape is today.
If, in terms of Russia invading Ukraine, if Russia had invaded us, we'd have been done by now.
Yeah, a lot of people do that comparison, but we are part of an alliance, and therefore we're structured in such a way that we're not going to. Well, I've been part of NATO. I know how it all works. It's not ideal, but actually that alliance would come together in something like that. And
I hope they'd come together for us. I'm not entirely sure that they would come together for the Baltic states, or I think Poland's our best ally on this front, actually.
Yeah, very much so.
The Germans seem to have woken up a bit as well, but there we are. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Let's also talk about Epstein. We're going to be talking about it later in this hour as well. Trump has signed that bill after Congress voted to release the Epstein files. within 30 days. It could have been done before now. He said he was going to do it. He then didn't do it, made a big deal. There's been a big MAGA fight about this. Marjorie Taylor Greene and him have massively fallen out. I mean, she is a complete nutter, but she's right on this. I mean, nutters are allowed to be right occasionally, are they not? But I mean, it is just weird that he didn't want to publish this. By all accounts, you know, he really did terminate his friendship with Epstein, such that it did exist. You know, rich billionaires all know each other. They move in circles and eat in restaurants that we don't, go to parties that we don't go to, folks. They all know each other. But I mean, how much do you think we're actually going to learn?
Probably not an awful lot of new stuff, because the sensational stuff has come out. It's created the clickbait.
Is that because it's not there, or is it because, as you were suggesting earlier, it's going to be redacted and just...
I think there's a few shredders have been shredding stuff, and that shredded material has been burnt, and people are checking
long ago.
Electronically that nothing exists elsewhere, and use.
And who would be doing that?
Well, it's
CIA, FBI, who?
It could be elements of government organisations. However, that would be unconstitutional. But
yeah, they'd never do that.
But they've got a history of doing that sort of thing. So yeah, it would be different agencies and trusted people within those different agencies that are doing it, i.e., trusted by people that might be in the files and don't want those details out.
Very interesting.
But there's a lot of money. Private companies could do that. You know, some of the people that are potentially named, and we've heard Elon Musk's name mentioned with it. You know, he could do this. He doesn't need any government structures if he thought he was in there.
People know how to do that. And we were discussing earlier, there's a lot of very important, very wealthy people who may be implicated. And again, the thing is, again, we must never forget what we really are talking about is young teenage girls being raped,
children being abused
and raped. I mean, it's no different to the grooming gangs in that sense. It was just in a posher place. It wasn't above a kebab shop. Yeah. It was on a fancy island. It was the same deed. Yeah. It was the same deed. It's just extraordinary, and it always amazes me. And again, same with the grooming gangs here. Same with paedophiles who target individually. You know, the priests who do it, or other people, teachers. Same as Epstein. You know, and Ghislaine Maxwell. They know who to target. Yep. They know to target the children who are vulnerable, the children who've already been victims of neglect or abuse at home, kids in care homes, but just with parents who just aren't doing the right thing, and it's just so evil. It
is evil. You know, it's evil personified, and therefore anyone that is mentioned in it, I'm sorry, including Andrew Windsor, it should be dealt with permanently.
Bye. I mean, again, even never met her. Of course, never met her. Gave her 12 million quid. But again, in 17, if there were sex, I'm not saying there was, Andrew. Although I'm not sure you could really sue me. Really, I don't think your reputation's got anything left to defend. But even if you had consensual sex with a 17-year-old, she was the same age as your kids. You're just a disgusting human being. Full stop. End of. And why did you think she wanted to have sex with you? No offence, mate. So sort of fat. Sweaty, or wasn't he?
He does sweat allegedly.
The whole thing. But anyway, let's talk about other stories. Nearly 500 migrants a day signing up for benefits. Now we've got 1.3 million foreign nationals in this country able to get benefits, signing up for universal credit in this country, which you only get if you're on very low income and not in. Well, you can have it if you're in low-paid work, or if you're not working. The amazing thing is most people who sign up for universal credit are in work. Most people who are on universal credit are not in work, because basically it's a benefit that basically says, it's all right, don't bother.
Simple thing with migrants and benefits. Migrants should benefit this country. If they have to take benefits from this country, they should be sent
Here's your ticket.
home.
Off you go. Fine. What do you make of Shabana Mahmood, Home Secretary, has been talking again today in media interviews about paying migrants who shouldn't be here to go? And I mean, we've been talking about 500 quid for the Epping section assaulter from the Bell Hotel who was convicted, the Ethiopian, to keep him on the plane and not make a fuss. They've been getting routinely up to £2,000. It's now talk of, I kid you not, like 25 grand.
It's disgusting. It's ridiculous.
Paying people to leave. But by definition, if they're willing to leave for 25 grand, they're saying that where they're going is safe. In which case, strap them in the seat of the plane and take off.
They're lucky we land the aircraft. I'd give them a parachute and just tuck them out. Yeah, there you go.
Your work.
Yeah.
But he's just... I can understand the whole, it is cheaper for us to do it this way than have them carrying on staying fighting. But it's the principle.
It's the principle,
of the thing.
and that's 25 grand. That is our taxpayers' money that's going to someone who's come into this country illegally. Whilst we have veterans who are living on the street, in the doorways of these migrant hotels because they can't get any accommodation, they're not been given any money, and they're dying because of it. It's disgusting. It's immoral.
It really is. And again, this whole idea, well, how do you get on the planes? I mean, I'll volunteer. Well, I'm not that strong, but I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go and lift some more weights to try.
Yeah, we've got big burly people,
but it's like ice.
And you stick a gun in the back of their head.
But again, how is it that the Americans are able to deport people? How is it, the Egyptians, when you had all those lunatics who went to the Egyptian, the Rafah border, the Rafah crossing, how are they able to get rid of people? People will do what they're told.
We put them in handcuffs, we put them in chains, we stack them up, we chuck them in if necessary, and then chuck them out the other end. I've got no issue, and I've got no issue with doing it myself.
No. And where are you on the? But we can't deport children. It's like, well, my thing is, so what do you want to do? You want to separate them from their families? Well, of course they should go with their families.
The children should go with their families, and if we don't deport children here illegally, the criminal gangs will then start to weaponise even more children.
They will literally be buying children to give to people
put on the boats,
claim to be your child. 100%. And we know that they've already done that. We know that they have already done that.
So these do-gooders who go out and think that they know what they're talking about, and they're looking after the human rights of these people. They're not. They're fueling the criminal gangs, and they're creating the problem.
But again, their problem is they start from this idea that all these people are totally legitimate and are desperate. Yeah.
Well,
they're just not living in the real world.
I think we need another new law that comes in, that everyone who turns around and tries to protest against the deportation of all of these, it's their houses that they should be given refugees to stay in, and it should be mandated.
Have a good time. Hope that works out well for you. Have
4 families to your 4-bedroom house. There you go.
Exactly. Or you can pay for them. Yeah. Seriously, why don't we have a deal, honestly, where it's just like, right, if you agree, if you want loads of people here claiming benefits,
you pay for them.
Living asylum, okay, you sign up. We'll have a list of people. We'll have a website, right?
Personal tax.
You can sign up to it, and you can all pay for it.
Yeah.
Have a great time. But I have a funny feeling that if you ask people, they don't want to. So if you're not going to put your money where your mouth is, if you think these people are so desperate, you think we should be doing this wonderful good thing, then do it. We saw with Ukraine. We saw when women and children needed somewhere safe to go, when it looked like that Peter was going to be going straight across the country. We saw how many people opened their doors.
Homes, yes.
It was wonderful. We had a lovely mother and son living in our buildings, some friends of ours who had a flat in the building, and this was tiny little place, and it's really small, but if you want somewhere safe, and they were there for 6 months, and then they moved somewhere else, but they gave up their home for free for 6 months to complete strangers. But the British people are welcoming good, and no, it's not because they're white and the people coming across on the boats from on the channel are largely black. That's not why. It was because they were clearly genuinely in need, and people who were not going to cause trouble in our country.
And boatloads of fighting-age men from dubious countries that we can't prove their identities. We don't know what crimes they've committed there and on their way across. Being imported by criminal gangs is just wrong.
It's just not complicated, is it? We mentioned the budget a little bit earlier, talking with Trevor Kavanagh. I want to ask you, I don't know if you've seen this survey. What percentage of Britons think the economy is in a great state under Labour? Because they asked this question, and the answer was zero. Big zero. I mean, it's just absolutely extraordinary. A shock poll. I don't think it is a shock poll ahead of the budget. 0% of Britons now believe the economy is in a very good state. Only 4% rated economic conditions as fairly good. I mean, who are those people? I mean, that's the same proportion of the public who still have a positive view of as was Prince Andrew. 4 in 100 people in this country, so 1 in 25 people in this country, have a positive view. Okay, he fought in the Falklands. Fair play to him. That was a long time ago. I was at school, for goodness sake. That's how long ago that was. I mean, seriously. But this is quite telling. I mean, just basically, no one thinks. 77% thinks the government's doing very badly. Only 1% think Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are doing very well. That's including Labour voters. He is done for. She is definitely done for. This is her second budget next week. Yeah. It's her last.
And the statistics that came out yesterday or the day before were inflation was down to 3.6% that they were celebrating, and all the rest of it. Whenever Labour came in, inflation was at 2.3%.
Yeah.
Unemployment has gone up since Labour's gone in.
Over 5%.
Exactly. inflation is...
And they claim about interest rates to come down. Yeah, but you're not in charge of interest rates.
Exactly,
Bank of England's in charge of interest rates.
And they're trying to stimulate the economy. That's the trouble, because the economy
with
is...
higher energy.
Yeah, the economy is dead.
Well, I'd say, this is a government, you'd say, like, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. I don't think the left hand knows what the left hand is doing.
It's in a worse state than when Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng had their lettuce moment.
And the cost of our borrowing, and that was apparently a massive big crisis. Now, they were not good at communications and setting the scene, and very arrogant. And I've got a lot of time for Liz Truss, but, I mean, she ballsed it up herself, I'm afraid. She got her own self to blame. But it could have been a magnificent thing for boosting our economy, and she messed it up. But I do think we are heading towards a reckoning, and I really, really, really do think it's not just for our politicians, it's for voters, because I'm sorry, we have been living on the never, never for a very long time. We have collectively been ignoring the envelopes with the red on the top for the last 20 years, and I'm sorry, they've been building up, especially during 2020, and everyone was staying home. Sorry, well, everyone, half the country stayed home while everyone else worked to bring them stuff. But we're going to have to start paying for it all at some point.
Yeah, we are. And the current bunch just haven't got a clue what they're doing. That's the trouble.
Happy Thursday, everybody!
I'm depressed.
11:26 is the time. Let's get to your calls coming up in just a couple of moments. 0344 499 1000.